So for part 3, we're going to go over how to create a form for your database. The idea behind a form is just to provide a nice looking piece of paper that you would hand out to everybody, they'd fill it in, and you'd use the information to fill in your database. While you're not doing that for this assignment, we still want you to have a nice looking form that you would pretend to hand out. To start with, you should select your table. And to create your form, you go to the Create tab up in the top. There are some options for forms here. We're going to click Form Wizard. You would select which field you want to be in your form on this menu here. You could select each field one at a time by either double clicking on it or clicking it and hitting the arrows. The double arrows take everything across at once. Since we would want all of our fields to be in our form because we need all of the information, we'll click the double arrow and just use it all and click Next. The layout is the default template your form will look like. The layout you pick doesn't matter, but I'm going to pick columnar because I like it the most, and hit Next. You would give your form a name up here. We want to click Modify the form's design so that it takes us straight to the design view, and click Finish. If you did not click that, you can select the design view simply by clicking in the top left corner and hitting Design View. The design view, much like how you set up your table, is how you are going to set the appearance of your form. There are a number of things you might want to do on your form. You may want to resize your text boxes. You could do that by clicking on the ends and dragging them. You could move them around by clicking and moving them around. Do remember that the labels are attached to the box unless you click and drag from the top left corner. So if you wanted to space your labels away from the boxes, you would need to click and drag on the top left corner. But otherwise, you could resize your form itself. You could move boxes around, you could change box sizes, there's all sorts of things you can do. But what's more important on the form is actually making it look nice, and in order to make things look nice, you need to have properties such as colors and fonts. In order to have properties such as colors or fonts, the first thing you need to do is click the property sheet button in the top up here to enable your property sheet. By enabling your property sheet, you see a list of all the options you could possibly do with each element of your form as you select them. So if I select a box, such as name, I have all of the options that I could ever want to use for my box. I have the background color, back color here. I could pick an access default, or I could click the dots and select my own colors from here, like this one. I could choose some font properties down on this list here, such as font name. Like that. Font size, I could change here. Underlines. Anything you could possibly want to change is somewhere in this list. If you wanted to change multiple boxes, you could click and drag or hold Control and select each one you'd want to change one at a time. And you could just keep going like that. To change the background color, you would just simply click on the background and select back color from here. So your objective here is to make a nice mix of different fonts in each of your boxes, different colors, different background color. You also need to add an image. You would add your image by clicking the Insert Image button here, clicking Browse, selecting a picture, and you would just click and drag your picture here. You need to have an image in your header for 2 marks. The other thing you're going to need on your form is a rectangle. A rectangle is used to group similar fields. So if I have all these fields about marks in here, those would be similar fields and I'd want to group those together. So I would select rectangle and click and drag a box around them, which would give me this rectangle here. If you want to change the properties of your rectangle, you could do it the exact same way. But just as a note, if you change the background color of your rectangle, it will create a solid block because your rectangle is displaying in front of your text. To change that, you simply need to right-click on the rectangle and send it to the back in the Position tab so that it's behind your text values. Once you are done editing the components of your form, you can switch to the form view here, which is what the marker looks at when they're marking your assignment. For this assignment, there are 2 marks for having a mix of font sizes and colors, 2 marks for having tasteful background colors, 2 marks for having a graphical image representative of your database theme, 2 marks for attractive readable positioning of the fields, and 2 marks for rectangles being used to group your related data, such as this one here.